Note 16 of Enron's annual report contains one sentence. In 2000 and 1999, Enron entered into transactions with limited partnerships, the related party, whose general partner's managing member is a senior officer of Enron. Read it again. It never says who. It never says the name of the partnership. It says the related party, and it says a senior officer. And it buries the only fact that matters 3 possessives deep. The senior officer was the chief financial officer. The related party was buying assets from the company whose finances he ran. That was filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission on the 2nd of April 2001. It was public. Anyone in the world could have read it for free. Enron filed for bankruptcy 8 months later. So, this is not a story about something being hidden. 3 things to hold. What that sentence actually said. Who was paid to translate it and did not. And what has been sent to you that you also did not read. Enron was not a fake company. This is the part that gets flattened. It moved real natural gas through real pipelines. It employed thousands of people doing ordinary competent work. Fortune named it the most innovative company in America 6 years running, and the innovation was real. So here is the fact. Then I will show you why it was fatal. Enron was selling assets to limited partnerships called LJM, the initials of the wife and children of Andrew Fastow. Fastow was Enron's chief financial officer. He ran the partnerships doing the buying. He ran the finances of the company doing the selling. The same man on both sides of the table. That sounds like a conflict of interest, and companies survive those. This one ended the company, and the reason is what the sales were for. An energy company accumulates assets, and some of them go bad. A power plant that costs more than it earns. A fiber network nobody wants. Under normal accounting, you hold it, you report the loss, and earnings fall that quarter. Enron sold them instead. The asset left the balance sheet. The loss never appeared. The earnings held. Now, selling a bad asset is ordinary commerce. It is legitimate for exactly one reason. The buyer is somebody else. Somebody with their own money, their own risk, their own reason to fight over the price. Remove that, and it is not a sale. It is a company moving its own losses into a pocket it controls and calling the movement revenue. Nobody was negotiating against Enron. Hold that. We are coming back to it. And here is where the story stops being what you expect. Enron did not hide the arrangement. The company disclosed it in the related party transactions footnote, the section at the back when a company lists the deals it has done with its own people. Enron filed for Chapter 11 protection on the 2nd of December 2001. Andrew Fastow later pleaded guilty to conspiracy and served a federal sentence. But while it was happening, the sentence describing it sat in the public record, available to anyone who wanted it. Nobody wanted it. What you are about to see has a name in economics, and it is older than Enron. The name is useless until you have seen the shape, so I am going to hold it. There are 3 reasons a disclosure can be complete and still tell you nothing. 1, it was true and it was not information. Read the sentence again. Limited partnerships, the related party, whose general partner's managing member is a senior officer of Enron. Every word is accurate. It names no one. It does not name the partnership. It does not name the officer, and it does not say what he stood to make. To reach the fact, you have to unwrap 3 possessives in a row and then already know that a senior officer means the chief financial officer. To extract any of that, you needed to already suspect it. The disclosure answered the question only if you arrived knowing what to ask. So who arrives knowing? Nobody arrives knowing. That is the point of arriving. The board's own investigators said this out loud. In February 2002, the special committee appointed by Enron's own directors published its report. It found the related party disclosures were, their word, obtuse, and did not communicate the essence of the transactions completely or clearly. And then this, from the same report. Even after months of investigation, and with access to Enron's information, they remained uncertain as to what transactions some of the disclosures referred to. That is Enron's own board, with the keys to the building, unable to work out what its own filings were describing. Read that again. 2. Volume is a hiding place. The filing ran to hundreds of pages of tables, schedules, accounting policy, and legal language. Nothing in it was flagged. Note 16 was formatted exactly like Note 15 and Note 17. Concealment usually means removing something. Here, nothing was removed. It was placed where scale does the work. A true sentence in a document too large to read, in a format that made it look like everything around it. 3. Everyone assumed it had already been read. The fund manager assumed the analyst had read it. The analyst assumed the auditor had checked it. The auditor was Arthur Andersen, hired, paid, and fireable by the company whose numbers it certified. Every one of those people was paid to read. One person read it anyway. In August 2001, 4 months left, an Enron vice president named Sharon Watkins sent a memorandum to Kenneth Lay, warning that the company could implode in a wave of accounting scandals. She was not an auditor. Nobody hired her to look, and nobody would have fired her for missing it. She was never charged with anything. She was also, on the record, alone. The sentence in the filing had been sitting there far longer, and it reached far more people than her memo ever did. Thousands of trained analysts looked at this company and did not see it. The satisfying explanation is that they were lazy, and the record does not support it. They read what they are measured on reading. The earnings, the guidance, the income statement. The meaning was in the footnote, and the footnote is the one page nobody is graded on. So, what has been sent to you that you filed away? You get a document like this, probably several a year. The annual report from the fund holding your retirement money. The terms of service that changed. The benefits packet with the section on what the insurer is not obliged to cover. The disclosure at closing on the house. Every one of them is legally complete. Every one of them was written to satisfy a requirement, not to be understood. And every one of them arrives in a volume calibrated, so that reading it in full is not a reasonable use of your evening. That is not sloppy drafting. It is the equilibrium, a rule that measures compliance by whether information was published and never by whether it was received, produces exactly this document, honestly, by people following it. So, who was reading it? Now, the part that closes the loop. Note 16 was not aimed at you. It was aimed at the professionals paid to read it on your behalf. The analyst, the fund manager, the rating agency, the auditor. That is the whole system. You are not expected to read the footnote. You are expected to rely on someone who is. Every one of them was paid by somebody. None of them was paid by you. Sharon Watkins was not paid to read it either. She read it anyway, she wrote it down, and the company had 4 months left. There is a version of her in most buildings. Somebody who noticed wrote the email and was thanked for raising it. So, before the last part of this, do one thing. Find the most recent annual report or plan document that was sent to you, your fund, your employer anything, and go to the notes at the back. Not the summary at the front, the notes. Read one. You will know in 90 seconds whether it was written to inform you or to have been sent to you. The mechanism has a name, and it is older than Enron. In 1970, the economist George Akerlof analyzed markets where one side cannot evaluate what the other side knows. Such a market does not just become unfair, it degrades. The party who cannot verify stops paying for quality it cannot see. Akerlof took the Nobel for that work in October 2001, while Enron was in its final weeks. The modern form is the one you just read. Not withheld information, disclosed information in a form that transfers no understanding. 3 questions. They work on a fund, an employer, a landlord, a contract. Was it disclosed or was it explained? Different acts, and only one of them is required by law. Who is paid to read this for me and who pays them? If the answer is that they are paid by the party who wrote the document, you do not have a reader. You have a second signature from the same side of the table. And what would this document look like if it were built to be understood? If the honest answer is shorter, you have learned why it is long. Go back to the record. Andrew Fastow pleaded guilty. Jeffrey Skilling was convicted in 2006. Arthur Anderson was convicted of obstruction in 2002. And in 2005, the Supreme Court reversed it unanimously. By then, the firm was gone and its people had lost their jobs. Kenneth Lay was convicted on 10 counts on the 25th of May 2006. He died 6 weeks later before he could appeal. On the 17th of October, a federal judge vacated the convictions and the indictment because a defendant who dies before exhausting his appeals never had the chance to answer them. In the eyes of the law, that record is now blank, but Note 16 is still there. You can pull the filing today. The sentence has not changed, and it is still true, and it still does not tell you anything unless you already know. That is the thing to take. The information was not missing, the comprehension was, and nobody's job description included producing it. There is a document on a server right now, filed correctly, disclosed in full, that says the same thing this one did. Somebody is going to read it 4 years from now and call it obvious. Subscribe and let's go find it first.